Welcome to B Squared, a show about creating impact. Our use of the squared symbol is a metaphor for being more than an addition to someone's life, but being exponential in it. We, along with our guests, create a discussion around quotes, statements, and ideas to empower, educate, and inspire others. Pete Ferguson is CBO of BHS Productions, an adult and youth development specialist, entrepreneur, and empowerment speaker. I'm Adam Bertine, a professional trainer, entrepreneur, professional photographer, speaker, and a local actor and model here in Denver, Colorado.
The legend, Lamar Griffin. You know, today we get the privilege of having him on the show. He's a person who I've met at shooting games for the NFL, and he is one of the most talented videographers I know in the country. Shoots a lot of NFL guys, the WNBA, the U.S. bobsled team. I think he's been even plugging into some commercials for different people. So, without further ado, this is my good friend, Lamar Griffin. Welcome to B Squared.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, Peter, Adam. Like Adam said, my name is Lamar Griffin. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me tell the people a little bit about myself.
Yeah, I mean, tell us who the man behind the camera lens is.
I like it. Well, first, you guys know my name is Lamar Griffin. I am from Lakeland, Florida. It's right when I describe Lakeland, it's right in between Miami and Orlando. Like we're like right in the middle, Miami, Tampa, Orlando. Like we're right in the middle. You come find us. Played college football growing up. Thought I was gonna go to the NFL to be an NFL player. That dream did not work. My dream and my goal was always to make it to the NFL. And I guess the goal kind of came true because I work in the NFL now, but it didn't come true how I saw it coming true actually playing. So that's one thing. And then I've always liked cameras. Like Adam said, we do a lot of work on the sideline with the Broncos. I started in the WNBA. I do a lot of commercials. I do a lot of weddings. My favorite thing to take pictures and videos of, which people make fun of me, which I don't know why, is proposals. I love love stories. I know I'm a guy. You're not supposed to say that. I love love. Love is like the coolest story, whether you love your wife, your girlfriend, your daughter, you freaking love your job, you love money. Love is just a cool story because the connection between love is always a story that you can tell. Compared to Von Miller, I put the camera on Von Miller. Me and Adam know what's going to happen. He's going to hit the quarterback. It's the same story every time. Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, man. So just, videography, photography, just really keeping my head down, working hard, trying to leave a legacy for my daughter and, just grinding.
Wow. Well, as you know, kind of we center the show around a quote. And so the quote kind of aligns with your story, and you talked about this, picturing that story of love. But, our quote for today is life will only change when you become more committed to your dreams and your comfort zone. So when you hear that, can you give us some insight on how that speaks to you, how that's played into your life, your purpose, and then your just overall journey?
Definitely. Could you say the quote one more time for me?
Yeah. Life will only change when you become more committed to your dreams than your comfort zone.
I like that. So I'm going to take the first part of that. So life will change. I think most people in general, myself included, anything that changes your life is kind of scary. Like no matter how brave you are, no matter how tough you are, anything that's life changing, it's fearful in a certain way. So it's going to make you unsure of what you're going to do or what you want to do. And then chasing your dreams. I got a podcast called Let's Talk More Do, where I always bash dreams. Not to say that you shouldn't have dreams, but I just love the word goal instead of dream because, a dream it's a dream. It's something that you dream and then the next step would be to set a goal. So for me, I like to have goals. So if you have a dream, you want to turn that into a goal, because a goal is something tangible where you can make, step 1, step 2, step 3, and then you can reach that. So with that quote, it's almost like to reach that goal, take it out of being a dream, make it a goal. To reach that goal, there's so many things you have to do. And the biggest thing I think for me and for anyone that's really going after something that's going to be life altering is hearing the word no, or failing a lot, which I don't want to say it's easy to fail, but after you've done it a couple of times and and Peter, Adam, like we all seem like we're in that same field. You're going to hear no, and you're going to do things that you like, this is a great idea, I'm going to go for it. You go for it, and then it doesn't work out, but you can't stop. You got to keep on going, because if you stop chasing your dream per se, then the dream's over. But if you make a goal and then you fall short of that goal, there's a different plan you can come up with. Even if you don't hit it, all right, plan 1 didn't work, all right, we're gonna go to plan 2. Plan 2 didn't work, we're gonna go to plan 3. And if you want that goal bad enough, you'll keep on chasing it and keep on going after it.
I heard a little bit ago that I like the fact when you said when you fail, and I hate that word fail. Somebody says there's that video, fail harder or whatever, but it's almost struggle well. So don't fail.
I like that.
When you struggle really well, because you won't have success in everything, and you will have struggles. But the way you struggle will dictate how you get to your goals. And so I like that. Other than saying dream, have a goal, but also when you struggle really, really well, just like you do with success.
Definitely. I like that.
And I kind of heard you say, change is inevitable. I think somebody said once, and I think you even said it, like, nobody really likes change. Like, we don't like that, that moment where, everything that was the same, is all of a sudden turned upside down. And, could you maybe speak to something that you've done that was uncomfortable, that you used, and how did you get through it in order to reach your goal? I know you talked about not making it to the NFL, but now you're doing something, in video, and maybe it's actually making an even bigger impact on people's lives than just playing the sport. No offense to all the athletes out there, but talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, you Peter and Adam, you guys are the first two to hear this per se, because I'm trying not to just like go around talking about it and screaming it from the rooftop. But I'm in the point of my career right now where, so right now I make content for NFL players, WNBA players, Team USA. I'm more of a content creator, but I'm stepping into the field of filmmaker and documentarian. So right, I'm making a transition from making, short 60-second, 30-second videos to right now, unofficially, I'm producing 2 feature-length documentaries. And what a feature-length documentary is Netflix, Showtime, HBO. We don't know who we're going to sell it to. As I've never made a documentary, and that's scary. It's like what makes, I asked someone yesterday, and I was like, what makes me think that I can produce a documentary that you guys and people will see on TV, and I've never done it before? And it's just scary, even me being myself. Like, I'm a macho guy. I think I can do everything, but I'm in a process right now where I'm stepping from one medium to a much larger medium to become an actual filmmaker, director, where, before it was just me and one person, me and Gabe. Now I might have a team of 15 or 20, and, we got to deal with all types of, numbers and budgets. And that's kind of scary, but I want to tell stories. I started making films to tell stories. And the best way to tell a story is to make, it's not the best way, but the way I want to tell stories now is to make documentaries. And it's not just NFL, it's WNBA. It could be about a mother who loses her job and, still finds a way to raise her son. It could be about a doctor. It could be like Peter, it can be like someone in your field, about someone who works with the kids. So the point that I'm at right now is, so it's tough. Like, I can't tell you guys how many hours I spend online just Googling things and emailing people. And that goes back to what me and Peter were just talking about. Like, I've reached out to probably 30 documentary filmmakers. I mean, these guys are famous. They've won Oscars, Emmys. I'm emailing them like, hey man, I'd love to talk for 5 minutes. I probably got 3 emails back. I sent 30, I got 3 back. But what if those 3 guys give me the information I need to make my film? And it's a small number, but I knew I was going to get some no's. I didn't think I'd get, 27 no's, but I got 3 yeses though. I got 3 yeses, and that's kind of all that matters for me. So I'm super excited about that. And then to touch on what Adam just said, I think not making it to the NFL, of course it was me not hitting my exact goal, but now anytime I'm with the NFL player doing something, it's always cool because we're in the community, right? And you got the people that work for the NFL, and then you got me who I work with the player. So it's not like I don't work for anyone. Essentially, I'm helping the player. So when the kids come up to me and they're like, "Oh man, cool camera," and they're looking at me like, "How can I do this job?" Like they didn't even know that was a job to be able to, do that. And it's like, you might not be able to be Von Miller, but I guarantee you have a better chance of being a photographer or a videographer. And that's not to take away and say that kid might not be Von Miller, because he might. And if he is, he should go for that. But if you're not, it's a lot easier to become a photographer and a videographer and a sports journalist than it is to become an NFL player, because those guys are rare. NBA, MLB, soccer. It's just those people that make it to that level of greatness. I mean, it's a lot of talent, a lot of hard work. They're also very blessed by God. I don't know you guys' faith, but I believe in God a lot. And God has a play in everything. And some of those people that make it to the NFL and the people that we see on TV, movie stars, God, I always feel like God has to touch them, just like he touches us to do what we do. So, that's my little tidbit.
No, that's fantastic. And we're here with B Squared with Lamar Griffin, a film producer. We're going to go ahead and give you that title right off the bat. Film producer.
You guys are the first one that ever called me that. Yeah, Adam and Peter. I appreciate that.
That's going to be on the title. Film producer.
Producer.
Photographer of love. I mean, you got multiple titles right there, but former athlete. And I really go back to how you talked about that dreams piece. And you talked about, asking questions, putting 30 things out there, getting 3 yeses. How do you get control of your goals when it's outside your comfort zone? You talked a little bit about that. So, this is something that you talked about. I'm going to explore this. And, I don't want to shout it from the rooftops. And I would say, get on the roof, get on the skyrise, rent one of the Blue Angels. They're going around all over the place. I mean, let people know about that. So, but how do you get control of your goals? Even when it's outside, the thing that you're most comfortable with?
That's a really good question. I think for me, it's, I think Adam told me this before, and it wasn't on this, but it's just work smarter and harder. So most people say work smarter, not harder, but you just have, so once it's out of your control, you could either, there's 2 things you can do. You can give up or you can keep going. I mean, it's a 50-50 chance. Things get hard, you either give up, you keep going. When you keep going, it's like, okay, this didn't work. I emailed 30 people. I got 3 responses. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at this email. Okay, I tried really hard on this email, but did I try my hardest? Like, did I make every single email personalized, or was it 30 generic emails? It was 30 generic emails. Now, what if I go back and email those guys again now that they've seen it and make it personalized? Will 10 more come because it's just to them? So it could have been my fault in the first place because I didn't work hard enough. Or, there's just a various amount of factors. But if I come back at it again with a new plan after learning from the old plan, which didn't work, that will give me a greater success rate chance of trying it this next time. Wow, hopefully.
Fantastic. It talks about that investment. Did you truly make the investment to build that relationship, and people notice that? So if you send those generic emails and it's carbon copied,
exactly,
people vibe off that relationship, not just what you said, not just what you what you wrote, but how you made them feel. And that's through Maya Angelou. And so we've always referenced that. So that investment that you're making will translate oftentimes into additional success. But it takes people outside their comfort zone sometimes to do that.
Exactly. Because if I'm once I become a film director, let's put it in the air. Which I am. I'm a film director now. But if anyone asks me for advice, I'm going to look at the email and read it. And if it's a generic email, maybe I don't reply to it. But if it's like, hey, Lamar, I know your story. I know how you started. I watched you on the B Squared, podcast, YouTube show. Like, I'm learning everything about you. Do you have any advice? I'm going to give that person advice, that guy, that girl, just because it makes me feel better to see that email. Maybe even if I get a generic email, I'm the type of guy, I'm just going to reply back, because if I can help someone, I'm going to do it. So it's just like trying to think about, the people that I'm reaching out to. These are people that, have done things that are really big and make cool things, and I want to do that same thing. I want to tell stories. So it's all about just the networks and the relationships, and like you said, how you're going about that.
Yeah, to go along with the quote and kind of getting out of your comfort zone, you kind of talked about, moving from one, I guess, maybe focus to something new. It's in the same kind of realm. It's just on a bigger stage per se, right?
Yes, sir.
There was a guy named John Maxwell. He had this quote. He said, "You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." So this is kind of a selfish ask and a question, but being a photographer myself, what are some of the things that you either do daily now that are moving you towards those goals and aspirations? Or what are some of the things that you think that you're going to have to do and change, right? Because I heard somebody say one time, one of the things that keeps you from success is your comfort, right? So you have to start doing things and channeling your thinking and your mind and your habits. So what would some of those might be for you?
So for me, I've started doing it. So something I do daily now is the way I want my documentaries and my films to look. I'm trying to figure out what my style is and what my look is going to be like. And the only way to figure that out is to go actually film and do a lot of research. And when I mean research, anything that's on the internet that could help me become a better filmmaker and make the films that I intend on making, I'm trying to find it on the internet. And it's hours and hours of time. But like you said, it's daily deposits that I'm doing every day where I'm on the internet. Like I'm sitting like this right now. I should be sitting like this. This whole time I should be sitting like this talking to you guys. But I'm always on the computer like this, like so into the computer, like really trying to learn. And that's been something that's been happening daily, because for everyone out there watching this, creating content is me taking, let's say, an NFL game and putting it into 60 seconds, which is still extremely hard, but it's only 60 seconds. So and every story is essentially the same: a start, a middle, an ending, and then you add in the details. With the documentary, we're talking about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and the story has to be so much better to make Peter or Adam watch that story. I have to give a lot more things than what I would give in 60 seconds. So trying to learn how to do that isn't an easy task, but like Adam said, it's kind of in the same realm. So like if you have that talent, which I think I do, it's just now redefining my skills and being able to put that into, a movie. And also something that's very scary for me, which I don't think I've admitted this out loud other than to my wife. It's hard for me to let go of projects that are mine. Like it's my baby. When I make something and I film something, I don't want to give that to Adam. And when you're making movies, Adam's the director, Peter's the producer. I have to give the film to Adam and Peter and trust them to make it great. Like I can't be a film director and edit and do the sound and do the color. It just doesn't work that way in Hollywood or anywhere. So now I have to learn how to be a leader, which, I like to think I'm a leader, but I really have to be a leader on such a bigger scale of knowing how to work with people and get the best out of them and get the best out of myself, which is, like I said, way different than just doing content by myself.
Wow. Well, you talked about a lot of things, that ownership. I can relate to that because I know that's something that I struggle with a little bit. Like you've invested all this time, you've invested things into it. Adam and I, even kind of that post-production piece is like, man, that's, and then you have to, let it go. But it's about sharing. When you talk about your faith and everything, it's not necessarily about what I can keep with me, but it's like, what can I give? And as a film producer, you're not trying to hoard it to yourself. You've embraced this to go ahead and say, I want other people to not only see my gift, but I have a story to tell. And so when you said, I like taking pictures, I keep going back to that of love. It's not about, can I just get it so I can have a bunch of pictures on my wall about people who are in love. It's about putting it out there for other people.
Exactly.
So when you talk about that, you do some different things. And you talked earlier about maybe just like, you do things with the NFL and different people, and you have young people come up to you or just other people see it. Why is it okay to be different? I look at you, You know, an African American male, you're in this film business, you're taking pictures, you're doing things. You had dreams of going into the NFL. You had a goal, of going into the NFL. And as you inspire other individuals, whether it's youth or whether it's adult or other individuals, why is it okay to be different? And those who are committed to be different, it's not always comfortable. And so how can you be committed to being different, but also ease some of that fear and become comfortable being different?
I mean, to answer that question, to start off, sometimes it's not okay being different. Like when I say they don't want you to be different, I'm not even going to define they. We're just going to, anyone watching it, we're all just going to, they is someone else.
Right.
Like usually they don't want you to be different. So it's not even okay. So being different is so much harder than being normal. So to be different in general, you just got to go for it. I mean, at a certain point, you have to say, this isn't for me. Like I always tell people, a 9-to-5 is so, in some cases, so much better than my career. I'm an entrepreneur. I work for myself. I've been working for myself.
You're crushing all these people's dreams. You're crushing all these people's dreams out here. You know,
like,
we're in COVID-19. We're locked up. You know, and people are like, man, I've got my startup and everything else. I'm gonna go ahead and make it. So go ahead.
Exactly. No, you're totally right. Everyone's like, if I could just be my own boss, which it is amazing being your own boss. But there's times where when you're working for yourself, especially in my case, I didn't make any money. Like I worked a whole 80 hours each day, or 60 hours, way more than 40. But the end of the month just didn't result in money. And it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? And lucky for me, I have a wife that's super supportive. So there was never months where I didn't pay bills or like it got really, really bad. But as an entrepreneur, there's so many things that are unknown. So that's why I tell people to have a 9-to-5. Like, maybe for Brad or for Jeremy, a 9-to-5 is exactly what their life is supposed to be, and they give meaning to someone else's life with a 9-to-5. For me, I had a lot of 9-to-5s. I was a teaching assistant. I've been a basketball coach. I've worked so many 9-to-5s, but then there was just a point that I got to, like you're saying, I was just like, this isn't for me. And then that's kind of the moment when I knew I'm going to be different and work for myself and take on this burden of being my own boss, trying to employ people, trying to be able to live out my dreams and goals through being myself. And that's when I kind of knew, all right, you're not the same as everyone you know. Not everyone you know, but most people I know have a 9-to-5. They go to work, they get off. Me, I'm usually at home, working on the computer, or I'm flying to another state with an NFL player to do something, or a WNBA player. And just knowing that, like, that's not regular it comes, like I said, it comes with a burden, because it's not all rainbows and butterflies being an entrepreneur. Like, as much as some people show that on Instagram, and if you go to my Instagram, it looks cool as hell. It looks like I'm always doing cool things. That's not the reality of it. Sometimes it sucks, Adam will tell you it's not cool pictures, but sometimes it's not cool being down there when it's freezing and Adam's carrying around 3 cameras on. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, they always called it that Facebook fantasy.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, and you kind of touched on a little bit about like moving from basically being like your own boss to being a leader of other people, right? And maybe even potentially their bosses, right? So I'm curious, what are some of the most impactful relationships that you've had that created an exponential impact on your life or support to get you to where you are right now?
I'd have to say probably the main one would be my my actual best friend. His name is Scott McConnell. We grew up together. His parents were almost like parents of mine. But long story short, Scott started a business with bounce houses and inflatable rentals, and everyone would always make fun of Scott. Like, they're like, you rent out bouncy castles and bouncy houses. He's one of the most successful people I know. Because he's genius. He's like, you always need bounce houses. Your kids are always going to have parties. People are always going to want to, have fun. So he started that business with people making fun of him and doing all that. He's been in business for like the last 8 years. And he's the one, I literally called my best friend. I was like, I'm done working. I want to go into my own business. He walked me through how to set up my LLC. He told me, all the paperwork I needed. He told me about taxes. And it's just like being able to call my best friend and have him do that for me. And, now I'm off and running. But it's like, that would have been so much harder if I not had him in my life. And if he had not had his own business, and he had went through trial and error. So he knew, he gave me tips and told me things so that I would succeed, where maybe he had failed, which I don't think he failed, because he's a super successful businessman now. But it's just like, he's probably been the biggest influence and impact on my career, and like just the way I started it and kind of how I'm navigating it right now.
Wow. Well, you shared a ton of insight, and as Adam alluded to, you know, our whole point of this is to be exponential to other individuals' lives, and not just be an addition to one's life. And so, one thing we ask all our guests is we gave you a quote, but you talked about Scott and the influence that he had on you and the relationship that he had with you and helping you. Honestly, he looked like he struggled well. You know, he struggled well, and he's allowed you to, he's invested in and inspired you to struggle well. But what piece of insight, what investment would you give to somebody? It could be a quote, it could be a phrase that you heard, something you grew up with, that would add exponential value to our audience's life?
All right, so it is a quote. It is the name of my book. It is the name of my podcast. It's very simple. Less talk, more do. And I don't even have to explain the quote. We all know, anyone watching this, it's literally that. And I am a culprit of that first part, talking. So it's just, do not talk about doing something. Just do it. Whatever it is you have in your life, whatever it is you want to go after, whatever it is that you want to obtain, don't talk about doing it. Actually do it. Put the steps in place to actually do it. Awesome. So less talk, more do.
Yeah, that is awesome, and thank you for letting me be on your you're the very first podcast I was ever on.
Hey, I got to get Peter on that next. Peter, I'm
going to recruit you too, man. Most definitely.
I know. Well, I just thank you, Lamar, for your time. I mean, it was, just great hearing some other stories about you. I hang out with you during the NFL days when the Broncos were playing at home, and I'm just a big fan of your work. And I know that you've done some other projects for me, and it's just awesome to see your success. And I want to just encourage you and champion you as you go on to this, documentary filmmaking, and I know you're going to be successful. I mean, you just have that drive. You have kind of some of those intangibles to go out and do, right? And it does take a special kind of person to be an entrepreneur. It's not for everybody. It looks sexy sometimes when when we see the finished product. You get some cool experiences, but just through this whole podcast, I mean, you talked about so many things that aligned with what our podcast is about, B Squared, to be exponential in people's lives and not just an addition. And It was better than I expected. Right, I knew it was going to be good, but man, you hit it out of the park. So I appreciate that. I know Pete appreciates that. And
Lamar, tell us, so we can follow your career, and people, if they want to follow you, can you, like, where would you push them? Your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, website?
My Instagram, it's Lamar Griffin Films, Lamar with an E, so LEMAR Griffin Films. And then my website, same thing, LamarGriffinFilms.com. And there's about to be, like you said, there's going to be a lot of changes on there. I'm going to try to do this process where I'm going to do it and fail good, or what was, how you
struggle well.
I like that. I'm gonna struggle well, but I'm gonna try to document me making this documentary so that when I go back and watch it, I can see what mistakes I made. So it's gonna be a different type of process. I can't do it normal. I gotta be different. So
all right. That's all right. Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to seeing on Netflix, on a big screen, podcast, everything. I echo Adam's sentiments. You have been absolutely fantastic. It was a pleasure getting to know you, your story, your purpose, and you've definitely been more than an addition. You've been exponential to our listeners' lives for the individuals who hear this. So again, thanks, Lamar Griffin, and please follow him on Instagram, Facebook, his website, watch his struggles, but also you'll see plenty of successes.
Take it easy, Peter. Adam, thank you guys for having me.